Hi everyone, I'm Sonia from Sonia's Mixed Media, and I've just completed my bird sketchbook. I work in a very loose watercolor way, and I also use color pencils and gouache. And I started my sketchbook in December the 3rd, 2023, and I just completed it. And I hope you really enjoy my flip through. So if you do, please subscribe and don't forget to comment, and I will hopefully show you some more sketchbooks in the quite near future. So this was my very first one, and you know, working on the very first page is very intimidating, and it's probably my least favorite birds that I did, but this is just, I think this was with gouache and some of those Neo color 2s, but it was a very quick drawing. We had to do them very quickly, so I love this page. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, I just love the colors. I did the pigeons in the purples and the blues. I think they turned out really nice and fun, and I like their little personalities. Again, this was through Emma Carlisle's Patreon, and we just spent half an hour drawing owls. She had a picture there that you could draw from, and I picked this great horned owl and just did him very loose. And again, he's with gouache, and then I just went over some certain bits with color pencil, so nothing crazy. And like I said, I like to do them very loose, and I'm actually really quick at my art. I don't like to spend a lot of time on it. I'm very fast. This one I copied from a book of mine, is The Plumed Whistling Duck, and it did not turn out how I wanted. All this section here, I wanted it to be all detailed leaves, but they weren't working out, so I went through it and I added water and I sort of smudged everything. Okay, so I think I did a quick video on my channel of this one, showing my process on how I do my loose birds. So if you're interested, look that up on my channel. This is the red brown finch and the diamond firetail. Sounds like, yeah, diamond firetail sounds like a dragon. But yeah, really enjoyed doing this page. Did it on camera, had heaps of fun, and it's just basically how I work, very loose. And I really enjoyed it because I did my gouache down first, and then I went back over with colored pencil and did all these sort of scribbly, sketchy marks over the top, which I really enjoyed. So I was inspired by the owl I did previously, so decided to do more of those owls, and they turned out really cute. I like the face on this guy here. He looks so, he just looks so friendly and just a lovely, cute little fella. And this is a tiny little elf owl, which I'd never even heard of before, but yeah, I really like these. And if you're wondering how I do my backgrounds, I use a water brush, you know, with the chamber that you fill up with water. And to clean, like, you're supposed to use some paper towel or tissue or paper to clean off your brush between each color. I don't do that. I just go and use the back of my sketchbook to clean the paint off. Which actually turns out really good because it gives you all these different colors in there which you wouldn't normally have. And then I went back over with pencil, but yeah, I just cleaned my brush on my actual page to make the background. Same with this one, did the same thing, just cleaned off my brush in the background. I think it really works nicely. These are Goldian finches. Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. Yeah, these were in watercolor. I went back to my watercolor. Yeah, and I think I've added a little bit of pencil in for the little branches here. But again, can you see where I've I've cleaned off my brush from these colors, but it actually ties in really nicely because you're using all the same color palette. This is my brush turkey, an Australian brush turkey, because obviously I'm from Australia. You can probably tell by my accent, even though I've got a cold at the moment. And he's really nice and loose. Love him. He's in gouache. And yeah, again, I use that technique of coloring, cleaning off my brush a little bit in the background. But just, yeah, stayed really loose with it. And I really love how this page turned out. I really love this background here in particular. This is the variegated fairy wren. Again, this same technique of cleaning off the brush in the background. And then once I did that, like I sort of know, like I'll clean my blue off in the background, clean it off up in the, what's going to be the sky. Or if I've got, you know, greens or browns or whatever, I'll clean them off down the bottom of the page because, you know, I can always turn that into soil and things. So I really like how this fairy wren turned out. I think it's very nice and pretty. This is my strawberry finch, and I really have to laugh when I see this guy. He just looks so evil, and I even wrote evil, like good and evil, even though he looks evil as well. Yeah, and this one I use soft pastels in this, especially in the background, and it's still coming off in my fingers, so I've got off of soft pastels now because it keeps transferring on the pages. But yeah, it's okay, but not one of my favorite pages. This is my crested pigeon, and I saw this picture on Instagram. I follow a few bird photographers, and he allowed me to use his photo as long as I hashtagged him on Instagram, which I did. And I just loved the way this pigeon was doing its mating dance. But I did put some bits of food like seeds down here. But this is actually a mating dance that this pigeon was doing. And again, I really like this picture because I used not only pencil, but I used Tombow markers in here. And I like the effect that it gave with the mixed media. And the background is Neo Color 2s. This one here is the Purple Crowned Fairy Wren, and I decided to get back into my pencils a bit more with this one. And like how bright it turned out. The background leaves are actually Tombow markers, I think, or they could have been aqua markers, which is quite an old marker that I have. I don't think you can really get them anymore, but I've had them after years and they still work great. So they're a water-soluble marker, and they don't go through the paper. Yeah, just really liked this page and how it turned out. The Noisy Pitter and the Red-Brown Finch. This was all done in gouache and colour pencil, and I just wanted it to look kind of shrubby and like an old broken down tree. And I think I also scratched into the paint a little bit as well. And I like how loose this is, and yeah, I just really love this section down here and this bird here. This is my red-winged parrots, and the background I was going to do all different coloured leaves again, but that just never seems to happen for me. They always turn out terrible. So I went over the background with this yellow colour because it's just something I had on my palette. But these parrots are really bright green, but I don't know if they're as bright in real life as this, I'm not sure. And then I did shut my sketchbook before it was dry, so you can see this little bit of paper got stuck. Okay, so this one here is my zebra finch. Again, it went through and my the wetness went through and did the middle of my sketchbook, but that's okay. Okay, so the background here I did in really nice soft watercolors, and I like how that turned out. And then my zebra finch, I bought a new gouache, and it was on Amazon, and it was called Flash Gouache. Not to be confused with the flash paints that are expensive. These were really cheap ones from China, and they were terrible. This page was sticky for so long. The gouache is terrible. It's very sticky, and yeah, it was horrible. But I like how the overall picture turned out. These are black-faced wood swallows, and for this page, I was gonna have this whole bird here like done in layers of paper, like all collaged up, but then I realized that if I did that, I would have this big lump in my sketchbook that was going to interfere with my further paintings. So after placing the head on, yeah, I decided not to do that. So these are just done with gouache and some Posca pen. And yeah. This page I really like. These are noisy minor birds, and my husband and I always thought they weren't native to Australia, but I read up on them, and it actually says that they are native to Australia. And we have these in our garden. Everyone does in Australia, and they pretty much take over the place. And they made a nest in our bougainvillea, which is planted over our arbor in our backyard. And they made a nest and had little baby birds in it last November. So I knew I had to draw these guys, even though they're not my favorite bird, because they do swoop you and go at you in springtime. Okay, so this is the spotted quail thrush, and these are listed as critically endangered, and they're possibly extinct in South Australia, which is where I come from. So yeah, I started getting into finding out about endangered birds. So this is the first of those, and again you can see where I have used that technique of with my brush, taking the paint off, cleaning my brush, and I think it's worked out nice again because it's kept the color palette nice there. Another extinct one is the Eskimo curlew. The last known photo of this was taken in 1962, and the last confirmed sighting was in 1963. So after painting a few of these birds, I actually I've become really like wanting the knowledge about them, not just painting them and going, oh, that's a pretty bird, but I'm wanting to find out about these birds. So this is where I've kind of started writing information about them, and I'm glad that I've started doing that. This is the Jabiru, which is the only stork of Australia. Something I didn't know, and I don't think I've ever seen one of these in real life. Not that I can remember anymore, but I do really like how this turned out. This was, I think it was my watercolors, and yeah, I just copied this from a picture, and this was the water and the bank and the grass behind him, and just, yeah, it turned out really nice. I really like it. This is southern emu wren, and they have tail feathers like emus, which is quite interesting. And I decided to do these little guys in pencil and try to do all their tiny little feathers there, which was fun to do. And this is like what do they call these? It's like a wattle plant there. And I used some, in the background, this was Tombow markers. This is a king quail and his nest, and I put, or her nest, and I put some eggs in the bottom there, if you can see them. They're very faint. But I like this page. Again, cleaned off my brush on the pages. This is a, I'm not sure how you say it, but it's a kakapo. So I'm heading off to New Zealand in 10 days. So I thought, let's look up some New Zealand birds. And I found this one, which is very peculiar, and it's a flightless parrot. And it's nocturnal, and it pretty much stays near the ground. So obviously if you can't fly, yeah, gorgeous. So there's only a total population of 247 of them. So they're really trying to breed this bird species back up again down in New Zealand, and I think they keep them on an island which you cannot visit to try to get this bird growing in population again. This is a purple swamp hen, and I actually saw this. My husband and I went down to the local park, and it straight away caught my eye. This bluey purple color just flew out behind the bush in the water there, and I was like, oh, what's that? And then we watched it for a long time. He flew up actually into a tree and sat there for a long time, and then flew off. But yeah, I had to look up what it was called. I'd never sort of when I say I never saw one before, I probably have, but before I was interested in birds, I never took any notice. So it's amazing how when you get interested in something, all of a sudden you really start looking. And so yeah, I found out that this was called a purple swamp hen. So even though its chest is more of a bluey purple. This is the Great Indian Buzzard, and it's critically endangered, and it's from India. And there's less than 150 birds left in India, so they really do need some help. And yeah. Australian king parrot, and I decided to do the Australian king parrot because it was the 23rd of December by this time, and I thought, what more of a Christmassy bird in Australia than a king parrot? He's red and green, and because it's Christmas, decided to put cherries all around him. And I'm sure he would love to eat those cherries. And then I have the blue-fronted Amazon parrot, and I've made him look like he's in the wild, but we actually went to a relative's house, and they have one of these birds that they paid a lot of money for. And yeah, he was very sort of talkative and squawking and paid a lot of attention to my dangly earrings, and he was a lovely bird. And so I drew him out in nature, you know, where I actually do wish he still was, but shh, don't tell. And then I did the common house sparrow. I mean, these are everywhere, you know. I had to put the sparrow in here. Again, color pencil, and the background was, I think, just markers. Then we went on a bit of a vacation, and yeah, there was pelicans flying over the top. We were right by the ocean. And yeah, it was lovely to see the pelicans, because where I live, we don't see pelicans. I'm nowhere near the water, so it was lovely to see the big giants of the sky. And then the last page was on 3rd of January, which is today actually. And I decided to do the Tailor bird because I found this guy on Instagram and I was like, wow, this bird is smart. These tailor birds get their name because they actually sew up a huge leaf with plant fibers or spider webs, and they actually poke holes and they thread it through the leaf like they're actually stitching it, and it looks stitched. It's so smart. And then their babies will be sitting in this pouch that they've made, and it's just brilliant. So like I said, I'm really enjoying learning about these birds. And this page was watercolor and color pencils and a bit of acrylic marker there as well, like a paint marker. And that is the end of my art journal of birds. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I really do hope that I continue on my bird journey. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and I would love to hear any comments from you. Okay, thank you. Bye.